Hello friends, this is Dayananda Devamore. In today's lecture, we are going to talk about compressors. As all of you know that we are talking about pneumatic systems, and the first stage of any power transmission system is power conversion or energy conversion. So what kind of energy is used in hydraulic and pneumatic system? The energy used is pressure energy, and that energy is imparted to the fluid by using either pump or compressor. In hydraulic system, oil is used and pressure energy is imparted to oil by using a pump, while pneumatic systems use air as working medium and pressure energy is imparted to air by using a compressor. Now, compressor delivers the pressurized air or compressed air, and further that air is stored in a container. So, that is the first stage of pneumatic circuits. Now, let us talk about what are the types of compressors, classification of compressors. The first type of compressors are positive displacement and non-positive displacement. Now let us try to understand these two things in detail, because whenever we talk about power transmission, there are positive drives as well as non-positive drives. So what is exactly positive and non-positive? For that, let us take the example of this pen. So in this pen, suppose this is the driving shaft and this is the driven shaft. Now driving shaft is connected to driven shaft. What will happen if I rotate the driving shaft? The driven shaft will also rotate. What will happen if I stop the rotations of driven shaft? What will happen to the driving shaft? It will slip and it will continue its rotations up to certain extent. So this type of drive is called as non-positive drive, where it is not at all compulsory for the driven shaft to rotate along with driving shaft. Now let us take another example. Suppose this is the driving shaft. This is the driving shaft, this is the driven shaft, and both these shafts are connected. Now initially, when there is no load on the system, driving shaft rotates, driven shaft rotates. What will happen if I stop the rotations of driven shaft? The driving shaft will also stop working, because it is mandatory for the driven shaft to rotate along with driving shaft. If driven shaft stops, driving shaft also stops. So it transmits the power positively, while this does not transmit the power positively, right? Some examples of non-positive drives are belt drive, rope drive, while some examples of positive drive are gear drive, chain drive. So as all of you know that gears are interlocked in with each other, and when one gear rotates, another gear must rotate. So that is a positive drive. So the same thing goes with pumps and compressors. What is a positive displacement pump? The pump, when it is operated, it ensures the positive discharge of fluid. That is, it will go on delivering the fluid whenever it is working. So suppose you stop the flow of or suppose you close the outlet from that pump, what will happen? Still the pump will work, it will continuously push the fluid forward, and finally it may result in some accident. That is a positive displacement pump. What is a non-positive displacement pump? If you close the outlet of any non-positive displacement pump, it will just work, it will not build pressure. So to build pressure energy, positive displacement pumps are used, and in all the hydraulic applications, positive displacement pumps are used because it delivers the fluid positively irrespective of the conditions. So what is the actual working mechanism of any positive displacement pump or a compressor? To understand this concept, let us take example of a fan. Suppose you have a stick in your hand and you are supposed to move the fan or rotate the fan. What you will do? You have two options. Either you press the blades and rotate the fan like this, and the second option is you hit the fan blade and rotate it. So the same thing happens in hydraulics and pneumatics. How the fluid is displaced? The fluid is displaced either by pushing it positively or by throwing it. So the device or the compressor or the pump which pushes the fluid, that is called as positive displacement pump or a compressor, and the device in which the oil or air is thrown by using centrifugal force, that is called as a non-positive displacement pump or a compressor. Now it is pretty clear that in hydraulics, positive displacement pumps are used because building pressure is the main criteria. That is the first classification of a compressor. The compressor in which the fluid or the air is pushed. The air is pushed positively, that is called as positive displacement pump, and the pump in which the air is thrown by using centrifugal action, that is called as a non-positive displacement, or it is also called as hydrodynamic type of pump. Positive displacement pumps are also called as hydrostatic pump. So that is the first classification head. Again the compressors are classified as portable and stationary according to their portability. Now as the next classification head is the prime mover used to drive the pump. The prime movers can be electric motor or IC engine. Accordingly, the compressors are classified as IC engine driven or motor driven. They are also classified according to the stages of compression, single stage or multi-stage compressors. Now the next classification head is according to the position of cylinder. It can be horizontal cylinder, it can be vertical, or it can be V-shape. So accordingly the compressors are classified. Now let us discuss about various compressors in detail. The first type of compressor is a reciprocating compressor. Here the air is pushed, as I have told that there are positive and non-positive displacement pumps and compressors. So where the fluid is pushed, that is called as positive displacement compressor. So this is a positive displacement compressor, a single cylinder, single stage reciprocating compressor. The construction is similar to the IC engine construction. So it works like this: whenever the piston moves in, the valve gets opened and the charge or the air is taken in, and when the piston retracts, the delivery valve opens and it delivers the air. So that is how it works. The major problem with this type of pump it gives pulsating output. That is, you get air in some intervals. You will not get a continuous supply of air. That is the major disadvantage of single acting reciprocating compressor. So for that we have to use multiple piston cylinder arrangements, which is also called as multi-stage compressor. Let us discuss about two-stage air compressor. Here you can see one diagram. This is the diagram of two-stage reciprocating type air compressor. This is one of the most commonly employed type of reciprocating air compressor. This may either motor or engine driven. This type of compressors provide moderate range of pressure and delivery. A schematic view of V-type design of two-stage reciprocating air compressor can be seen in the diagram. Now let us talk about its construction. You can see in the diagram the construction resembles an IC engine of same design. The two pistons connected to common crankshaft such that when there is suction stroke of one piston, the second piston is in delivery stroke. Each cylinder has two spring-loaded suction and delivery valves. The cylinders are filled from outside for air cooling. The lubricating oil is contained in the crankcase at the bottom. There is an air-cooled intercooler to cool the air after compression in first stage. Let us see the working of two-stage reciprocating type air compressor. As the prime mover rotates the crankshaft, piston 1 moves down, sucking air through air filter. Further movement of piston causes the sucked air to be compressed and discharged through the delivery valve. The air then passes through intercooler where its temperature is reduced. From intercooler, the air enters into second cylinder, that is stage 2, where it is further compressed to discharge pressure, and finally where it is further compressed to discharge pressure and finally delivered through discharge valve. Let us talk about the second type of air compressor, which is called as lobe type air compressor, or it is also called as Roots blower. Now as you can see in the diagram, lobe type air compressor is used in applications where higher flow at comparatively low pressure is required. There is practically no volume change, but the impeller, which is called as lobe, forces the air through discharge opening against back pressure of the system. Thus, in this case, pressure developed is a function of system load, which is also called as back pressure. Outline construction of a lobe type air compressor is shown in the diagram as you can see. Here, two lobes are placed in casting as shown. The air is transferred from the suction side to the delivery side with continuous rotation of two lobes. The lobes are precisely machined and the casing also machined to close tolerances. The only line of demarcation behind the use of this compressor is its compression ratio, which is limited to about 1.7 only. This compressor finds its application in the situation where high volume of air is required at considerably low pressure. So, Roots blower are used for low pressure applications and where the volume requirement is more. Now, the third type of compressor is vane type of compressor. As all of us know, all the compressors and pumps resemble in construction and working. So, only the difference is in the fluid they are handling. A sliding vane type air compressor operates on a similar principle as that of a hydraulic vane pump, although air compressors are comparatively bigger in size. An unbalanced design of vane type of air compressor is shown in figure. As the rotor rotates in clockwise direction, the vanes, which are held against the camring either by spring force or by centrifugal force, draw the air from suction chamber and compress it during their passage to delivery chamber. A single stage vane type compressor can deliver air up to a pressure of 3 bar. They perform efficiently over a wide range of pressure and flow rates, particularly for pressure ratios of 2 or greater. They are pulse free, therefore can be used without receiver. Now the main disadvantage you can say with vane type of pump or compressor is the area where the vane touches the camring, it experiences friction and there can be wear and tear of the components. So to avoid it, the another type of vane pump is introduced, which is called as liquid ring type air compressor. Now let us talk about liquid ring type air compressor. A liquid ring compressor is a modified version of vane pump in which a liquid ring created due to centrifugal action is used as a medium. Due to liquid ring, there is no metal contact between blades and wall. Therefore, no lubrication is required or there is no wear and tear of these points. As shown in diagram, a liquid ring compressor uses many vanes rotating inside an eccentric housing, and it contains a liquid, usually water or similar low viscosity fluid, which is flung out by centrifugal force to form a liquid ring, which follows the contour of the housing to give a seal with no internal leakage and minimal friction. As the rotor rotates in clockwise direction, it takes air from suction chamber, and during its passage, the air gets compressed. For this type of compressor, rotational speed must be high enough to create liquid ring, and it should be about 3000 rpm. The pressure rating of this compressor is about 5 bar. Now that is about the liquid ring type air compressor. Now let us move ahead with the next type of air compressor, which is called as screw compressor. A screw compressor is one of the rotary type of air compressors which is being widely used in modern plants with sophisticated controls. A screw compressor, as the name implies, consists of two rotating screws. Both the screws are synchronized either by external timing gears or by one screw driving the other by contact. As the screw rotates, air is drawn into the housing, trapped between the screws, and carried along to the discharge port, where it is delivered in a constant pulse-free stream. Air compression causes the heating of air. In order to control this heat of compression, most of the compressors are liquid cooled. The compression cycle of such compressors is illustrated in the diagram you are observing. As depicted in the diagram, the lubricating oil is introduced in the passage of air to delivery part of screw compressor. Thus, the coolant is mixed with the air. This mixing provides the coolest possible internal operating temperature. The cooling oil acts as sealant for the air as well the lubricant to meshing parts. Further, the mixture of air and oil reaches the reservoir where an air oil separator is fitted which separates the compressed air and discharges it to system. The oil is returned to oil cooler where it is cooled and recycled to compressor through filter. Now with that, we have covered most of the important types of air compressors. Now let us talk about the accessories and controls required for any air compressor unit. These accessories are required to control various parameters of the compressed air. Now as you can see in the diagram, this is the compressed air receiver. Every compressor, in addition to its compression mechanism, has various accessories to make it more adaptable and applicable to varying applications. Some of the essential accessories and controls are discussed in this part. So let us first of all see the air receivers. An air receiver is used to store high pressure air from the compressor. The demand of air from the consumer may be fluctuating, as well the supply of air from the compressor may also pulsating. Both of these fluctuations and pulsations are absorbed by air receiver. An air receiver is essentially a pressure vessel, and it is designed and manufactured according to regulating standards for pressure vessel. These pressure vessels have following additional components. First component is inlet valve. The inlet valve is connected to compressor outlet piping. The second component is outlet valve. The outlet valve is connected to pneumatic system. The third component is pressure relief valve. The pressure relief valve is spring loaded type pressure relief valve That means it is a valve which releases air when pressure exceeds safe limits. Then the next valve is drain valve, and this valve is used to drain the condensate from the reservoir. The fifth is pressure and temperature indicators, and finally the removable axis covers for cleaning and maintenance of the receiver. Various designs of air receiver for both vertical and horizontal installations are commercially available, and typical installations are shown in the diagram. The volumetric size of an air receiver depends mainly on delivery volume of the compressor, air consumption of the system, and permissible fluctuations to be absorbed by the system. If the system is required to have smooth air supply, comparatively bigger receivers are selected. Air receiver should be at least large enough to hold the air supplied by the compressor in 1 minute. Now let us discuss about the compressor controls. In pneumatic application, the demand for air is irregular, and therefore some means of controlling the output of compressor is necessary. When the pressure in the receiver starts dropping, it indicates that the air is being used faster than it is produced by compressor. Where as a rising pressure indicates that more air is being produced by the compressor. Hence, the compressor control should change the compressor output with regard to load. There are two methods of controlling the compressor output. First method is speed control method, and second is on-off control method. In the first method, that is speed control method, the compressor output is controlled automatically by regulating the speed of compressor. This method is applicable when prime mover is an internal combustion engine or steam powered turbine. In these cases, the compressor outlet pressure is sensed by transducer, which in turn actuates the linkage to control the admission of fuel or steam entering the prime mover. In this method, the compressor is continuously running. In the latter method, which is on-off control method, the compressor is triggered on or off depending on outlet pressure, that is receiver pressure. This method is used for motor driven compressors since motor is mostly constant speed drive. As depicted in the diagram, the on-off control system has essentially a pressure switch mounted on air receiver. As the receiver pressure exceeds the predetermined pressure, the electrical contact of the pressure switch is broken, which in turn breaks the supply to the holding coil of the contractor, that is supplying electricity to motor, and thus motor stops running and hence the compressors. When the receiver pressure drops due to consumption of air, the pressure switch again engages the contacts, thus causing the motor to get restarted. The maximum and minimum pressure setting of pressure switch should be carefully selected to avoid frequent starting and stopping of motor. Now let us discuss about what is the selection criteria of any compressor. Friends, as we have discussed the selection criteria for pumps in the first section, there is not a big difference in selection criterion in hydraulics and pneumatic systems. The only difference is the fluid that is handled, and that makes some differences in the selection criteria. The first criteria that is important as far as selection of compressors is concerned is the pressure. See, as we have discussed that positive displacement compressors are used to develop more pressure, and the non-positive displacement pumps are used for low pressures. Now why? See, in positive displacement pump, the air is pushed positively, therefore it can develop pressure above 5 bar. That is called as hydrostatic compressors. But in hydrodynamic design, as the air is thrown it is not likely to develop bigger pressures more than 5 bar. In short, you can say for less than 5 bar pressure, the non-positive type of compressors are used, which are dynamic type of compressors are used, where for the pressures above 5 bar, the positive displacement compressors are used. The second thing is volumetric requirement of the application. For some applications, the volume requirement of air is more. But you can ask me this question, the air is already stored, so you can take as much air as you can for the application. Yes, it is true that air is stored, compressed air is stored in a single unit. But for some applications, the receiver or the storage tank may be insufficient to provide that much volume of air. Therefore, while selecting the compressor, the volume requirement must be taken into account, and accordingly it must be selected. As we have discussed in the Roots blower, it delivers maximum volume with low pressure. So you can go for Roots blower whenever there is high volume requirement. The third is type of application. We have to consider the type of application while selecting the compressor. If the application is temporary, if it is you can say not a permanent application, then you can go for a portable type of compressor. You can move the compressor from one point or one place to another place very easily. While for fixed applications, you should have a centralized compressor unit. So accordingly, you can select the compressor type, whether portable or fixed. And there are some other applications like initial cost, maintenance. Now, if the compressor fulfills all the criterion, and if it is expensive, and if it can be replaced with another compressor, then the another compressor is preferred because it is least expensive. Another criterion may be operating conditions, in what conditions you are using the compressor. So all these things are considered while selecting a compressor. Now friends, I hope you have understood the concept of compressor. You should be able to tell working, construction and application of each type of compressor, as well as you can talk about the controls of air compressor and also tell the selection criterion for any air compressor. So with that, we end this topic here. In the next topic, we will discuss about the controls of pneumatic circuits. Till then, thank you.